Advice from Spotify, iHeart, or Apple Podcasts. And if you're using Apple, please leave us a rating so others can also find us.
In 1996, a former fisherman came to Parliament. 9 years later, the foreshore and seabed legislation would sweep him out of his seat. But Dover Samuels remained a committed member of Labour and a warrior for te reo Māori me ona tikanga. In 1868, the first Māori MPs entered New Zealand's House of Representatives. Today, there have never been more Māori in Parliament. They span the political and cultural spectrum and continue to leave an indelible mark on our political landscape. In this series, we'll explore the legacies of former Māori MPs as they speak about their time in politics. I'm Mihingarangi Forbes, presenter and journalist. This is Mātangi Reia.
Hutia te rito ta harakeke. Whakatairangi tia rereki huta, rereki tai. Ka ki mai koe ke hau e hata mea nui o tēnei au. Ngā ku kia tu kia koe, he tangata, he tangata, he tangata he. Te he Mauriara, e te takoto mai, taku waka, tupuna, te mātātua, ki roto o tākau, takoto mai. Takoto mai, takoto mai.
You grew up in, as you put it, with your feet in the waters of Matauri Bay. What does it mean to be Ngāti Kura?
Well, first of all, can I say that I'm looking around the walls of this whare, this room, and I see the leaders, the political leaders of the past. It brings a spiritual dimension to myself because I knew a number of them personally. And I see my rangatira up there, Maturata, from Ngāti Kuri. His background was very similar to mine. In growing up in a very isolated Māori community beside the sea, it was part of our being. Every rock, every island, every beach was part of who we were. And of course, the history and the whakapapa that went with it was taught to us all as little tamariki around the marae by the kaumātua and the kuikuias of those days. And even though we were poor, when we talk about poverty, there's no money. But we were rich in other things, in other aspects of life. And we lived in a very simple life, but we were happy. And then in my younger days, this is just after the Second World War, so I was about 5, 6 years old when I began going to school. Of course, we all rode our horses to school through the bush. There was no road. And our school was called Whakarawa Native School. Whakarara te maunga, and the school was built underneath it. And I remember distinctly, and I'll never forget the times that I was told when we got off our horse at the gate, waihetia tō hoi hoki konei, me tō reo, me o tikanga. Translated, leave your horse outside the gate, leave your language outside the gate, leave your culture outside the gate, because you're entering a different world. And that was my beginning of an attempt by the Crown to disempower me. when you are susceptible at a very young age to that kind of influence, then it stays with you forever. And the caning of my generation, simply for speaking our language, was something that today's generation would never tolerate. Absolutely.
As someone who grew up in the north, I imagine as a politician you went to Waitangi every single year. Did you do the same as a child, as a young person? What did Waitangi Day mean back then?
Well, I wasn't a radical, put it that way. I wasn't a radical like Horner and Shane Jones. You know, I was more of a sort of a moderate. And you're right, I just can't count the Waitangi days that I've attended, and I still attend them. I missed maybe one or two. But I've seen the change. And unfortunately, Waitangi has been used for political expression by all sectors. The media has got a lot to contribute to that. They were all looking for controversy in the past. But I was there when Norman Kirk was, I was there when the leaders of different nations were welcomed onto those maraes. And we were proud, as Ngāpuhi, because there was no, you had differences, but you respected your manuhiri. That was the tikanga, and I'd say that that was the kawa of Māoridom right throughout, hakoko way. Didn't make any difference what iwi you belonged to. And that was very profound. And of course, that was the image of Waitangi in those days. And good God, how it's changed.
How's it changed?
Well, I didn't support Hene Whare throwing a bloody wet towel at the Queen, or whatever. And I didn't support, I mean, it demeans, you think about it, and some of the instances, Don Brasco throwing mud at and some sort of dildo condom or something thrown at people. You know, the spirit of Waitangi and Waitangi Day is bigger than that.